CDC says Ebola in West Africa could infect 1.4 million people in the next 4 months. And we send our military to West Africa to fight the Ebola threat. What's that got to do with us? With me now, infectious disease expert at Columbia University, Dr. Stephen Morse. Good evening, doctor. Okay.
Good evening, Judge.
It's in West Africa. How difficult would it be to come here?
I think it would be very hard to come here. We may be seeing people who have Ebola, who've been exposed to it, who end up at an airport. They may get sick while they're on the plane. They may get sick afterwards. But I think if they go to a hospital, we have a very high level of awareness here, and there'll be appropriate isolation precautions and other precautions to make sure that they don't infect others.
And what about them? I mean, you seem to be pretty confident about that.
No, nothing can be said with absolute confidence, but we've seen a few people come back under special conditions, and the results have been that the patients have done well, and none of the healthcare workers or other people have become infected. Obviously, those are very specialized facilities, but I think that we do have a high level of awareness here, and I think that it is possible to be careful and take the right precautions.
But would most hospitals, let's just talk about somewhere, anywhere in small town America, I mean, are our hospitals prepared to even know how to handle the high levels of, biological Ebola waste from a patient?
The waste is a major issue because usually medical waste of this type is not processed. It's just put into red bags, and essentially someone has to take it away. And many people are perhaps unwilling. Many of the usual companies would be unwilling to take it. So some hospitals have had to borrow sterilizers, these large autoclaves, from other institutions to be able to inactivate, to kill the Ebola virus, to make sure that it's safe to handle. And that reassures people. Not every small town place is going to be able to do that. Hopefully they'll be able to get people safely to larger facilities where they'll be able to
if it is identified for what it is. Dr. Stephen Morse, thanks so much for being with us.
My pleasure. Thank you.
All right. And with me now, retired U.S. Marine Corps Gunnery Sergeant Jesse Jane Duff. Good evening, Jesse. While our veterans die waiting for doctors, our Commander-in-Chief sends 3,000 troops to West Africa for a, quote, growing threat to global security, when last week he said the chances of an Ebola outbreak in the U.S. are extremely low. What are we doing?
Exactly. Oh, this is misplaced priorities. I mean, the real threat, the real virus right now is called ISIS, with the death of 13,000 people. Ebola itself has gone over 3,000 people, but we've got 13,000 dead in the hands of a real virus. And the president has decided that this is a bigger priority. Meanwhile, what is he going to do to protect these troops from the infection themselves? What is being done? We are not healthcare workers in the military. We've done humanitarian efforts to deliver supplies and food when natural disasters have happened. But right now we've got 1 million people dying of AIDS in Africa, and 24,000 Americans die of the flu. So how did this become a threat?
Not even to mention, malaria and some of the other problems there, but what about the humanitarian workers? 8 of them hacked to death when they went over there to help these people. What's that about?
Exactly. So this is another problem that's going on. Their society believes that some of these healthcare workers are bringing the virus to them. There's many superstitions associated with Ebola. So healthcare workers just on Thursday were all found in a latrine dead. 3 of them with their throats slit. So this also happened in July and April, where they're brandishing knives going after these healthcare workers.
Okay.
So how are we going to protect the military?
All right, let's talk about the military then. I remember conscientious objector from the Vietnam era. I can't imagine guys in the military or their wives and their girlfriends, their mothers, I don't care, that at some point they know they're in danger, they're in the military. But if you get this virus and doctors are getting it and they know what they should be doing, can you object to going over there?
No, you cannot. You cannot refuse orders unless they are unlawful. And this is the sad thing. We got $37 billion in cuts with the Pentagon right now. We've got Army officers and sailors getting pink slips on the battlefield. Yet we're going to spend $1 billion on this, and yet we have no way of protecting our own military from the potential death. Where are the protesters going to be, the anti-war protesters, when body bags come back from Ebola virus? I want to see them stand up to the president and have not a double edge, but not put us in harm's way done under any conditions.
All right, what about the Ebola virus being used as a, in biological weapons?
There's been no evidence of that. In the military, we are trained and we are given shots against anthrax and various other biological attacks. This has not been determined to be a biological threat. This is a false claim that this is going to be a national security, in our national security interest, in my opinion.
All right, and what about the fact that we're spending $750 million in just one country of Liberia?
It's absurd because what's happening is our Pentagon is suffering massive cuts right now, and we're going to decide that the military needs to be over there and it's going to be more effective for our national security. Meanwhile, we have real threats in Syria, Lebanon, throughout all of the Middle East that we hear about every day. We have Iran, we have Libya, everything you can name, and yet 3,000 boots on the ground with Ebola. I don't get it. It doesn't make any logical sense.
Well, you know what? I don't get it either, but it's good to have you on, Jesse. Thanks for being with us this evening.